Let's party like it's 1929. Well, if we involve 1929, there may be moonshine. Hello and welcome to WJTS in.form. My name is Bill Potter. Joining me in the studio is Kathy Tretter, and she is all ready in, I guess you would say, the Roaring Twenties outfit.
I mean,
right?
Yes, I'm not dressed like a flapper because I'm a little too old for that, but in 1920s, 29's attire.
Okay, and the Dubois County Museum is going to host an event next week, the 29th of March, that is really a unique, different, sounds like a lot of fun.
I think it's going to be a great evening. We are wanting everyone to come out and party like it's 1929. We're celebrating moonshine, a little thing that's kind of interesting to celebrate and particular to our area. They used to say you couldn't throw a rock in Dubois County without hitting a moonshiner.
Wow.
And of course that all started because of Prohibition, but I believe people were making shine long before that, having their own stores of it, that especially if you lived in the country and wouldn't necessarily get to town to buy any alcohol.
It's funny how I guess things cycle back around because now it's legal to have a distillery in your house, but
a very limited amount,
yes.
But it is legal.
Well, let's talk about the event and where it will be, kind of the logistics of it, and then we'll talk about moonshine, then we'll talk about the event again. The event is day, date, time.
It is going to be March 29th, which is a Saturday, from 6 to 9 p.m. There's going to be all kinds of fun things going on there. The Recycled Teenagers are stepping back and doing some music from that era. People can dance. People can enjoy the huge array of heavy hors d'oeuvres that are going to be served for the price of admission. There will be a cash bar, unfortunately not moonshine, but, a reasonable facsimile to it.
All right.
And Mike Lindauer will be making a batch of moonshine, although he will not have the mash in it, so it will be strictly legit. We won't get any trouble.
We want to keep it legal,
for that.
right?
But he'll tell about how to make it, and we're going to invite anybody that wants to share stories, remembrances of the era. And it just ought to be a lot of fun. Also, if you're interested, you can have your picture taken in a setting in your clothes for minimal amount. You'll receive that picture. And when you arrive, first of all, when you arrive, you have to knock 3 times fast and 2 times slow and say, Art Nordoff sent me.
Okay.
And then you'll get in. And
just like getting into a...
Exactly, just like getting into a speakeasy.
Right.
But we're going to send you down through the museum. Instead of in that banquet hall, it's going to be down by the log cabin area. And it should be a really good party. And after you get in, you'll be handed a commemorative mason jar, which you can take home. You can use it for your drinks or tuck it in your purse or do with it whatever you want. But that's sort of a memento from the evening.
Yeah, a mason jar certainly is appropriate.
Yes.
And it's what we have to have the moonshine in. And this is a fundraiser for the Dubois County Museum.
It is a fundraiser for the museum. The museum is completely self-supporting. No one gets paid a salary. Everybody is volunteer. But we have the largest county museum in the state. It's a wonderful place. If you've never been there, visit. Now, you get a little bit of a better deal on admission if you are a member, and memberships are relatively cheap, so you can become a member. $15 admission if you're a member, $17.50 if you're not, and that's in advance. At the door, though, everybody's welcome, and it's $20 member or not at the door, because we're trying to have an idea of how much food to have prepared and everything.
Because you said heavy I've never heard of anybody refer to hors d'oeuvres as heavy.
Heavy
Heavy hors d'oeuvres.
Just a little bit. It's going to be satisfying food.
Okay,
There's going to be plenty of food there.
It's an interesting term. So you then obviously are taking reservations now.
Right.
Is there a limited number of tickets that I guess could be sold?
There would be a limited number. We're not too worried about exceeding that limit, but we'll try and fit you in.
Okay. Well, then 2 things. Do you have to dress up?
We want you to dress up. You'll have more fun if you're dressed up. You'll
Sure.
have the feel of what it was really like to party in the era. So that's why I'm dressed as I am, just to give an idea. But you can be a flapper and wear shimmy dresses, and guys can wear spats and a little boater hat. Whatever you want to wear, you can just dig in your closet. You don't have to go out and buy something special. Everybody has something probably that would work.
Now, if somebody would like to make a reservation, what do they do?
They can do one of a couple things. You can go to the museum and make a reservation there. They have the forms when they're open. But the simpler thing is to give Judy Welp a call. She's on the committee. Her number is 812-630-1996. So Judy Welp, 630-1996, and she'll get you all set up.
Okay, and she'll hold the tickets. You can pay at the door or pay in
Right,
advance.
exactly.
Okay. All right. Now, why are we highlighting, and I shouldn't say that we're highlighting, but why are we having fun with moonshine?
Well, we have about 4 stills in the collection, so we only get them out every so often. We're going to put the stills on display, and they were stills that were really used here. There are some fascinating, fun stories about our era of moonshining, including Al Capone used to come here to buy moonshine. He, an old timer who's no longer with us, saw him and didn't know who he was. He was in a little tavern playing the slot machine with a nickel, and he had a string wrapped around it, and he'd put the nickel, and then he'd pull his nickel back out. And the lady who owned it said, "You have to leave, and you have to leave now. Turn around, go out, don't look back at the man who's coming." Of course, he was 10 years old, so he went out, and he saw this big car pull up, big black car, and out stepped a man, and another guy, an older guy, was there, and he said, "Who is that man?" "Well, that's Al Capone."
Wow.
And he was coming in to buy moonshine. Our moonshine was famous, Dubois Dew it was called, because we were known not to pollute it in any way. Some places they'd put lye in it to give it a big kick. They do other things too. We didn't do that. We were known to be purists and good managers of our moonshine. So, and I mean, there's stories about one of the cops who's had the kind of car, NASCAR cars started because of running moonshine.
Right.
Those cars
right.
were moonshine runners. Okay, he had a police car that was similar, and he would carry it in his trunk and deliver it. I mean, there was not the negativity that you might have expected. It was prohibition, and we weren't in support of that. And it turned out to be a really bad idea because that's how organized crime started in this country. People didn't particularly want to give it up. So while you don't want to glamorize something illegal exactly, it was really just a part of our heritage.
Right. I didn't realize that moonshine was as big in Dubois County as you say.
Oh, it was. It really was. And so many people I talked to over the years, "Oh yeah, my grandpa made it," or I've talked to people who made it themselves. That's how they subsisted during the Depression. I mean, it allowed them to still live, to make money. We were lucky this was a rural area so people could grow their crops and raise animals and things like that. But it was an added income
Little extra,
stream.
little
Yeah.
money on the side, a little part-time work on the side. And so we're going to have that's a cool event for the Dubois County Museum. And I want to say that the Dubois County Museum is an amazing museum. It is really something. And I know a lot of kids are on spring break next week. If you've got time with the kids and you're not going to go anywhere, you could spend easily a half a day at the Dubois County Museum, which is amazing.
There's so much to see and so much to do there and so much to learn, but you don't feel like you're learning because it's a lot of fun.
Now, someone told me that the farm implement displays in the Dubois County Museum may be the largest collection in the nation.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
We have steam engines, we have tractors, we have every kind of implement imaginable. It's really huge, and that's sort of in the area where the murals are. And the murals are a neat addition because they highlight every community. I think there's still some in the works, but it makes it really nice to see sort of the heritage. We had a similar background, more or less. A lot of us, our ancestors came from Germany, but there's other people too, and every community had their own thing. Both Jasper and Ferdinand had Father Kundek, for example. Other communities had other people coming in that founded them and made them what they are today.
So the museum will be open.
The museum will be open, so you'll be able to go
guests
out.
who go to this, you'll be able
Yes.
also to walk around and see all of the
Right.
museum.
You can go into the village, which I think is a wonderful addition. And so many people in this county. I mean, that, again, the museum didn't spend money on it. Everybody came forward with materials. They volunteered. Some of the construction companies, when their crews were not busy, would send them in, and so that all the storefronts look absolutely beautiful. It's just a neat, neat place.
Well, that's the one thing about the museum. You go through certain parts and you think, wow, this is a great museum. Oh, there's another room. Then you walk into that with that great big log cabin and all the farm implements. You go around and you see all of that. And then you walk and you go, well, that's a great museum. Then you walk into the village, you go, wow, this is a terrific museum.
That's exactly right. I think people love it. Even people that don't love museums love it And it gives you a sense of your heritage here.
Well, and speaking of heritage, you're going to have a Party Like It's 1929
Yes.
Event at the Dubois County Museum. Again, if you want to get pre-advance on the tickets, you should call, you said Judy Welp?
Judy Welp, and again, her number is 630-1996.
Okay, or go to the museum.
Or go to the
and
museum.
stop by there.
You could possibly call Janet Klemper too, but she's hard to catch, just in case you know her. She's very involved and has been on the board since the beginning. And it was her idea to have a moonshine party again, because it's just so much fun. We've actually had two in the past. One back in '98, I think. And that was when the museum was in the Grommelsbacher Gutzweiler building across from the library. And then we had another one out at the new museum, but there's been so much added since then. The village wasn't there yet. And it ought to just really be a great night of fun. You'll be able to visit with friends, dance, listen to a few stories, and just enjoy it and immerse yourself in a different era.
And find out how moonshine was made back in the day.
Exactly. Someone said, oh, like Downton Abbey. Well, we weren't living like Downton Abbey back then.
Right, no,
we were a little more rural in what we were doing, but we still had a good time in this area then. We're still having a good time now, and I think this is just going to be such a fun event at the museum.
Next Saturday, March 29th, 6 to 9 p.m. Contact the museum to get more information. Kathy Tretter has been our guest. Kathy, thank you very much for being in.
Thank you for having me.
Kathy is with the Ferdinand News and has been a longtime supporter of the Dubois County Museum. Thank you for watching WJTS Inform. We are local people watching local people.